The widow of the firefighter killed in the Sun Prairie explosion and two of his old colleagues are suing the companies they say are to blame for it.
And the DOT has a plan to reduce rush hour traffic times by 40%.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Friday, December 21st. I'm hoping the DOT can figure that out before I head home to Highland for the holidays.
I don't know about that. Hattie was raising the roof, though.
I know.
Sort of.
I was like, that's great, but you know, the benefit of working this shift, we don't usually run into rush hour traffic.
That's very true. Not really our problem.
Roads are usually pretty quiet when we head into work. It is a pretty quiet weather day as well. Take a look from the WISC-TV sky cam. Skies are just cloudy this morning, so we're not going to see much of a sunrise. Here's a look at our current temperatures. 31 degrees here in Madison, 32 in Mineral Point. The Dells now dropping to 29, still holding steady at 34 in Janesville. That's only part of the story this morning. Wind chill is a factor today. It'll feel a little bit more like December. Wind chills right now are in the teens and low 20s across the area. We're not going to see a big climb in those numbers either today with a northerly wind. Here's your forecast as you head out the door today. Temperatures going to hold nearly steady once again in the low to mid 30s. Wind chills again ranging from 20 to 25 through the day. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. We'll show you what's happening on the roads. If you are headed out early, you're not likely to hit many delays right now. There are a few brake lights showing up on Stoughton Road north of the Beltline. Otherwise in the area, no accidents to report, so travel looking good.
What a week in Wisconsin weather. Like a couple of days ago, we were talking about near 50 degrees. Now we're talking about wind chills again.
I know. You gotta love it, right?
Should be used to it by now. All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
We want to start the news again this morning in Sun Prairie, where the widow of a firefighter killed in this summer's explosion is filing a wrongful death lawsuit against the companies she says had a role in her husband's death. After months of investigating, the city's police department concluded that no one is criminally responsible for killing Corey Barr, but Abby Barr and two firefighters that were hurt in that incident are now suing VC Tech, Bear Communications, USIC Locating Services, and the company that owns We Energies. The plaintiffs argue their negligence is directly connected to Captain Barr's death and the firefighters' injuries. They claim We Energies failed to properly report the gas leak that caused the explosion and didn't shut off the gas quickly enough. They also allege numerous safety failures. We'll have those details up on our top story on channel3000.com.
In Barr's complaint in particular, he says his daughter suffered profound loss of his love, affection, care, and protection. It went on to say Corey Barr suffered conscious pain and emotional distress, and had he lived, he would have been entitled to bring this action. Now, all the companies involved have 45 days to respond to this lawsuit. News 3 did reach out to those companies. Only We Energies responded and said they do not comment on pending lawsuits. We are also seeing police dash cam video of the moment that explosion happened. Pretty dramatic there. Sun Prairie Police Chief Pat Anhalt says the explosion was caused by extreme miscommunication between the companies responsible for marking and drilling in that area. Investigators determined a gas line wasn't properly marked, leading to a VC Tech employee to drill in the wrong place. Still, no one will be criminally charged in connection with that explosion.
Parents in Middleton may want to remind their kids about stranger danger this morning as police look into a report of a suspicious person near Carmody Middle School. Now, witnesses say they saw that man dressed in black with a purple backpack hanging out behind the school building around 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Students at other schools around there were held in the buildings while police searched for him, and extra officers were on hand during dismissal. Officers never found anyone, but after reviewing video, authorities determined there was no threat. Anyone with information should call the Middleton Police Department at 824-7300.
If you noticed some backups on your evening commute last night, it's because of a rollover crash that has two people recovering still this morning. Police say it happened around 4 p.m. when a semi cut off another car on the Beltline near Park Street. That vehicle spun into another one, causing it to roll onto its roof in the westbound lanes. Now, you can tell from this video how many crews had to respond to that crash. All westbound lanes were closed for about 45 minutes. The good news, police say those injuries were minor.
Wisconsin's Transportation Department is considering a change on the Beltline that could shorten your commutes and carpools. The state's proposing a plan to open the shoulders of that highway during peak travel hours to help alleviate some of the congestion in that area. Now, the practice of hard shoulder running, that's what it's called, it happens in 17 other states already, and the DOT says it could reduce travel time by up to 40%. That means travel time from Whitney Way to the interstate during the afternoon rush hour could be reduced by up to 20 minutes. The DOT plans to to get some public input on that idea in the new year.
Speaking of congestion, we have a first alert traffic note for you this morning. In downtown Madison, East Doty Street will be down to 1 lane between Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and South Pinckney Street from about 8 this morning until 3 this afternoon. Crews will be pouring concrete at the Judge Doyle Square project during that time, and they're going to need that extra space. Another concrete pour is scheduled for next Friday as well.
6:05 right now, and there are more than 14,000 Madison students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. That means half of the district relies on the school cafeteria for meals every day.
That makes winter break a challenge for some of those kiddos and their families. Our Madeline O'Neill is live at the River Food Pantry on Madison's north side with a program trying to fill that void. Good morning, Maddie.
Good morning, Leah and Danica. Yeah, a lot of kids, of course, are looking forward to winter break, but for many of them, that means missing out on free or reduced school lunches. Now, to help those students out, this mobile food truck will be bringing meals directly to them. Each day that school is out, the River Food Pantry will be delivering lunches to kids and teens in 8 North Side neighborhoods as part of the Munch program. That means the truck is out and about on weekends and weekdays over winter break, except for Christmas. The pantry prepares about 400 lunches of things like sandwiches, fruit snacks, and juice boxes. Now that's the production side of things, but the Munch program coordinator says the delivery side is his favorite.
I'm making friends with these kids. You know, they're good people, and just to see that it does affect them, like they need it, like they're there because they want to eat that food. It's rewarding. I like it a lot.
The truck spends about 15 minutes at 8 different locations, all on the north side. But the pantry says they know there is more need in the community and would love to expand. Now, to do that, that would take more volunteers signing up, which the pantry says is an easy process. You can just head to the website riverpantry.org. We'll have that on our website, channel3000.com, as well later this morning, along with the exact times and locations of where this truck will be over winter break.
Just one of the many things the River Food Pantry does for that area of town. So we appreciate their work, and we appreciate Maddie's report this morning. Thank you so much, Maddie.
Thanks, guys.
All right, if an iPhone or an iPad or the latest Mario Smash Brothers video game is waiting under the tree for your kids this holiday season, you might have some questions about what kinds of limits you should be putting on that screen time. We're talking to the experts to get their take. That's coming up after the break.
And Hattie has a bit of everything in store for your weekend. She's talking sun, cold, maybe some flurries ahead of the holidays. It's all coming up when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. It's definitely feeling a little colder outside this morning. No precipitation, though, in our forecast. Take a look at the temperature trend yesterday. This time yesterday, we were in the 40s across southern Wisconsin, but temperatures were on a downward trend through the day. Now we find ourselves in the low 30s this morning. A look at Doppler track will show you that all the precipitation has moved out of the southeastern corner of the state, and looking across the region, things are pretty quiet as you look to the west. A large storm system, though, impacting the eastern part of the country. A lot of rain in the forecast and some pretty strong winds associated with this storm system, so that may slow travel along the east coast. But for us, things looking pretty good. We just have a lot of clouds in the area this morning. You can see that low deck of clouds extends all the way through Iowa and Minnesota, so it'll take some time before we see any clearing across southern Wisconsin. Our temperatures across the upper Midwest range from 10 in International Falls, 26 in Des Moines, 33 this morning in Chicago. Here in southern Wisconsin, temperatures are generally in the low 30s, but we are starting to see some 20s now to the north. The Dells at 29, Camp Douglas, you're at 28 this morning, as is Viroqua. That's only part of the story. Winds are from the northwest, around 15 miles an hour, gusting higher at times. Some of these peak wind gusts in the last 24 hours are in the 25 to 30 mile an hour range. That's making it feel a little colder outside. It feels like it's 20 right now in Madison and the Dells. Feels like 24 in Janesville. Feels like just 17 in Camp Douglas. You'll want to bundle up a little more today. Here's a look at your wind chill forecast through the day. Looks like that wind chill will hover in the low to mid 20s right into the afternoon. Our future track forecast model is keeping clouds in the area through the morning, but some clearing is possible, especially west of Madison as we go through the afternoon. That clearing trend will continue tonight. Temperatures will drop back into the 20s, so it'll be even a little bit colder tomorrow morning. Now, there is a chance for a few flurries tomorrow. That's about it precipitation-wise. We'll see more cloud cover. Again, highs remaining in the low 30s. Your extended forecast then has temperatures staying pretty consistent right through the Christmas holiday. We have highs in the low 30s. Just a few chances for flurries late Monday into Tuesday as well. The model's still indicating a storm system impacting some part of the Midwest Wednesday into Thursday. Right now, it looks like rain, a mix, and snow would be possible for southern Wisconsin, but we'll keep our eye on it. Things may change over the next 5 days. Here's a look at your first alert traffic this morning with Jason Stone. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning. No major incidents on the Beltline as motorists are spread out and driving at the posted speed limit. Expect heavier volume at the interchanges. Drivers will have just a slight delay on Verona Road at the intersection at Highway PD. Otherwise, it's mostly clear on all major routes heading into Madison. No problems commuting downtown at this time. Construction has shut down South Pinckney Street through the afternoon, and there is some buildup of vehicles on John Nolan at North Shore Drive. With your first alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, Hattie. In a first-of-its-kind study, the federal government is interviewing 9 and 10-year-olds and studying how staring at a smartphone is affecting their brains. It's a $300 million study following 11,000 kids for a decade. So far, the MRIs found significant differences, like a premature thinning of the cortex. That's the outermost layer of the brain that processes information from the senses. Researchers have also found kids who spend more than 2 hours a day on screens got lower scores on thinking and language tests.
So we wanted to get a little more insight on how screens affect your child's brain development. So we're joined this morning by Mike Harlow. He's an occupational therapist with Unity Point Health Meriter. Thank you so much for waking up with us this morning.
Oh, sure.
It is a huge topic of conversation. And, you know, the American Academy of Pediatrics just came out saying that they don't want kids under 2 using so much screen time either. What's your biggest concern looking at a study like what the government's doing, these updated recommendations? What's your biggest concern here?
Well, my biggest concern with the younger kids is, unsupported screen time. There's a big variety of apps and shows and stuff like that, and some are pretty useful and some are not. And the biggest concern is what kids are getting into on their own.
So we were talking a little bit in the break about how we can't necessarily just take these screens away from kids. That's not realistic or really useful, right?
Right. It's a part of the culture now, and
Sure.
You're going to see it in schools. You're going to see it in other kids' houses, and supporting children with using it well and using it effectively is going to be the most useful approach.
While this huge study is going on and we get kind of scientific proof, what have you been seeing anecdotally in your line of work as far as the effects that these screens can have on kids?
Well, I think that especially the games and the apps, are really centered around drawing attention, and that's their primary focus, especially in the non-academic ones. And when we're really drawing attention, we have less room to attend to other things. And they really create a quick response. So it's really exciting, it's really interesting. And that may help distract a child from being involved in dinner preparation or something like that. But it's not an active learning process, so that time spent on the app generally isn't helping learn new skills for the real world.
And that's part of the concern too with having such young children on these kind of things, right? Because that can really affect how their brain is responding to other things in the future.
Well, yeah, that's my concern. During live interaction, there's lots of back and forth, subtle communication that's happening every moment. And when you're on a screen, the interaction, even if there is interaction, is very limited and structured. You can't do something that's not really allowed on a screen, but you can do that in real life. And we learn from those things where we just don't have that chance on screens.
The study also had some implications when it comes to being addicted to these sort of devices. Is that a concern you have?
It's a concern. I mean, it's not, we don't have the answer to that yet, although just the drive for, I think, even adults to use devices is pretty clear that they really do suck your attention and your energy, and we're constantly checking in on our own devices, and I think the same thing is true for kids.
So bottom line for parents, what should they be doing, especially when they're probably getting their kids some electronics this Christmas?
I think supporting that engagement with the electronics. One of my favorite things to do with electronics is using it as a starting point. So if you're exploring a cub family, wolf family on the screen, and then that translates into play in the real world, that's a really wonderful opportunity versus using it as a break time that doesn't give you a chance to interact with your family.
And that's really hard because that's the escape for some families, right? Yeah. All right, Mike Harlow, we're coming to the show. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So it only took over half a century, but Mary Poppins is making her supercalifragilisticexpialidocious return to the big screen this weekend. I almost nailed it. Will has a preview of what promises to be practically perfect in every way after the break.
And Hattie has a preview of what your holiday forecast is going to look like, starting with some sun, maybe some flurries too, ahead of your weekend. She's in next when your News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. It's the last school day before holiday break for many kids this morning, and it's going to feel a little bit more like December. You want the layers today. Temperatures are starting in the low 30s, but wind chills are down in the 20s, and that wind chill will be a factor through the day. Here's a look at your bus stop weather forecast. Mostly cloudy skies this morning. Breezy and chilly. Again, temperatures right around 30 degrees as you head to school. Not much warmer this afternoon. Some clearing is possible, especially to the west, though, late today. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Hattie. All right, whether it's superheroes, transforming cars, or a musical, there's something for everyone at the theaters this weekend.
And Will joins us now with a preview of two of those movies. Lots coming out this weekend.
Yeah.
We're
Oh my
talking about
gosh.
Mary Poppins Returns and Aquaman. Hey, good morning.
Good morning. You could literally spend all day at the theater, and
Yeah.
sometimes I do. So, yeah, so 54 years later, we are getting a sequel to our favorite nanny who arrives by a flying umbrella. And if your dream superpower has always been to be able to talk to dolphins and surf on battle sharks,
How'd you know?
well, I've got the movie for you. Take a look.
I was flying the kite and it got caught on a nanny.
Mary Poppins.
Emily Blunt takes over for Julie Andrews as the prim and proper Mary Poppins, taking care of a grown-up Jane and Michael.
So you've been off filling the children's heads with stuff and nonsense. You've forgotten what it's like to be a child.
Mary Poppins Returns is rated PG.
Off we go.
My parents made me what I am. I am the protector of the deep.
Jason Momoa is Merman, Aquaman, who fights bad guys underwater.
The war is coming to the surface, whether you like it or not.
Aquaman is rated PG-13.
All right, we know where Danica's going to be this weekend, watching Aquaman.
Aqua and Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
I'm all about Lin-Manuel Miranda coming in.
Oh, yeah.
As the Dick Van Dyke sub-in, I should
Yeah,
say.
yeah. And I mean, I was a little sad to hear that he wasn't doing any of the writing of the music. He just sort of sings, but then you're like, well, you don't want to sound too similar to Hamilton.
Oh,
That's
lost
the case, or
Moana.
Moana.
Yeah, any of those, so.
So, and Aquaman looks absolutely bonkers, and the reviews have been saying that. I don't even know what's going on in that film, but
Yikes.
Momoa shirtless, yeah, I guess.
I guess you
that's
gotta
a draw.
go. You gotta go.
I guess.
And Julie Andrews in Aquaman, which is absolutely insane as well. She
Random.
turned down a cameo for Mary Poppins Returns, but
Aquaman.
she's in Aquaman.
It's a classic. You gotta.
You gotta at least
Guess
troll
so.
a little bit, I guess, from the other side of the silver screen right there. My
That's
goodness.
funny.
You are not coming in Monday.
No, I'm not.
Have the day off.
But enjoy all of the goodness. There are a lot of movies, so check them all
Yeah,
out
I'll
this
still
weekend.
go watch them.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And happy holidays.
Yep, you guys as well.
Glad to have you.
Thank you.
All right, without school lunches to rely on over the next couple of weeks, some kids here in Madison are getting a little help staying fed through the holidays. Maddie O'Neill's up bright and early this morning to tell us more about that coming up after the break.
And Governor-elect Tony Evers will be out with some of his new cabinet announcements later today after taking some flack for choosing all of his first four out of the same city. The news is back in the morning on News 3 this morning.
The USDA wants to take away states' abilities to give food stamps to people who aren't working.
We'll tell you how an area program is keeping kids fed here at home over the holidays.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is 6:29 now on this Friday, December 21st. T-minus 4 days until Christmas. If you have some last-minute shopping to do, we have a nice clear weekend to get it done.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's turn it over to Hattie now with a look at that forecast. At least for today, Hads, we're planning on things getting a little chillier out there, huh?
Yeah, it definitely is colder this morning. I can hear the wind howling through the trees behind me. So there's a wind chill factor this morning. That's the big difference today. Here's a look outside this morning at the Capitol from the Edgewater Skycam. It's the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice today, so we are not able to see any sunlight just yet. Sun comes up in about an hour. 31 degrees, though, here in Madison, but when you factor in that northwesterly wind at 15 miles an hour, it feels like it's 20 degrees. Here's a look at current temperatures elsewhere across the region. Some 20s on the map to the north, 29 in the Dells, 28 in Camp Douglas, now down to 27 in Viroqua. Still holding on to 34, though, in Janesville. That seems to be the warm spot this morning. Not terribly warm, though, anywhere when you factor in that northerly wind. Wind chills will be in the 20s as temperatures hold pretty steady in the low 30s today. Let's get a peek at those traffic maps this morning. So far, things have been pretty good on the roads, and that trend continues. Seeing just a few brake lights on Stoughton Road as you approach the Beltline. Otherwise, no major delays to tell you about. Looks like you're still going at posted speeds as you head into Madison. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right, thank you so much, Hattie. The holidays mean a 2-week break for students here in Madison, but for 14,000 of them, it also means they won't get the one sure meal they rely on all day.
At 1 or 2, that is, and that's a number of students on the district's free and reduced lunch program. There is a Munch mobile food truck that'll come into play and try to help out. Our Maddie O'Neill is live from the River Food Pantry this morning to talk about how that program is helping to keep kids fed over the holidays.
Hi, Danica and Leah. Yeah, here on the north side, the River Food Pantry fills that gap, providing lunches for students on days when there's no school. But it doesn't just stay here, it's on wheels. This is the Munch mobile food truck. It will head to 8 locations on the north side. Every day school is out over the next couple of weeks, except for Christmas, bringing children and teens lunches, including sandwiches, juice boxes, and fruit snacks. The program's coordinator will prepare the meals, which he says have benefits that go a long way.
If your stomach is empty, that's what you're thinking about, right? You're thinking about when can I get a meal? When can I get this? So you're not thinking about, okay, I have to focus on math or I'm going to sit and read.
The Munch mobile truck delivers about 400 meals each day it's in use. And next week, this truck will be all around the north side at places like Northport Apartments, Packers Townhouses. We'll have the full list on our website, Channel 3000. Otherwise, you can check out the Food Pantry's website. That is riverfoodpantry.org. Leah and Danica.
Now, it's the last thing you really think about. Kids are thinking, oh, I get the next 2 weeks off. But with 50% of Madison kids on those free and reduced lunch, very important. All right, Maddie O'Neill reporting for us. Thank you so much, Maddie.
So speaking of the need for food, there are some policy changes on Capitol Hill that could affect what kind of help you and your neighbors are getting when it comes to feeding your families. Now, the USDA is proposing a rule that would make it so individual states cannot exempt any able-bodied adult that can work from maintaining steady employment while receiving food stamps. So that would limit what Governor-elect Tony Evers could do with the program here in the state. Some D.C. lawmakers tried to pass stricter work requirements for SNAP program participants under the Farm Bill the president just signed yesterday. That proposal failed in the Senate. However, it was similar to what has been approved here in Wisconsin. Starting next year, any food share participant 18 to 49 years old who is physically able will be required to work or get job training for 30 hours a week, whether they have young children or not.
Governor-elect Tony Evers says he will announce more members of his cabinet later today, and the state GOP is hoping they won't all be from Milwaukee. Evers took some flack for his lack of geographic diversity earlier this week when he announced his first 4 appointments, all from that city. He'll be in Madison today to announce his new picks. Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers are talking priorities for next year. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald says he's open to accepting federal Medicaid expansion money or cutting income taxes. Those are both things Governor-elect Tony Evers promised to do on the campaign trail. Fitzgerald says he doesn't want to dismiss Evers' budget proposal, but said lawmakers will likely work off a base budget instead. Fitzgerald also said he does not support legalizing marijuana for medicinal use, something Evers says he would support. Wisconsin's unemployment rate is at or below 3% for the record 10th month in a row. Before last year, the state's unemployment rate had never dropped below 3%. The record is 2.8 back in April. Wisconsin gained close to 10,000 private sector jobs between October and November.
In sports news this morning, the Packers have one last chance to earn a win on the road this season. The Pack is 0-7 away from Lambeau Field, and they have not gone 0-8 on the road since the NFL switched to a 16-game schedule. That was 40 years ago. Aaron Rodgers continues to say he will start the rest of the season, even though there's no chance of the Packers making the playoffs this year. Their opponent on Sunday is the 4-10 New York Jets, who haven't won a home game since mid-October. Maybe some good luck for the Pack there. Kickoff is noon Sunday over on Fox.
As we head into the holiday weekend, we have a reminder, a rather loud one, to ward off potential Grinches and lock your doors. Wauwatosa police are looking for a man who tried stealing Christmas presents from this home. Before the family dog, Oliver, scared him away. You heard him just there. Detectives are looking through surveillance footage and testing fingerprints after the man spent 20 minutes snooping around. The homeowners say they're more annoyed than scared because they forgot to lock their door before going to bed. They are thankful, though, Oliver could scare the man away, saying it was quite out of character for a dog who's normally afraid of the rain.
Well, that's the thing is I know what we've joked about our family dogs all the time. Like if a burglar ever came in, they just walk up, bark a few times, and then give them a big kiss. Like, you know, you just don't expect dogs to show, you know, the nice ones to show up in those situations. So
not Oliver. He stepped up when you
Oliver.
needed him. Dogs helping people right there. I love it.
That's quite the alarm clock, too.
Yeah, it is.
Oliver probably barks at some squirrels and has his owners a little annoyed. All right, there's a plan to cut down on your Beltline commute without construction. We'll tell you about that coming up in the morning sprint.
And you might want to fill up here in Madison before you hit the Beltline to head out of town this weekend. We'll tell you where the cheapest gas prices around the state are when News 3 This Morning returns. Welcome back. We always ask you to share your morning with us here on the program, and Paula posted this photo on Facebook. It's a gorgeous little look at what winter should look like right now. Beautiful, beautiful shot. I think this is a lake in Monticello, right?
Yeah, it's definitely at least some flooded out areas, right? Up near that area. The frost is what gets me. It just always looks so pretty when the sun is rising, the frost is on the ground. It's the silver lining, quite literally, during the winter.
Magical winter wonderland here in Wisconsin. Thanks so much for sharing, Paula.
What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it over on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is. Please use that hashtag MyNews3Morning. Leah and I share our favorites every morning here on the program. So what's good news for our wallets might not be a great sign for the economy. AAA is showing a gallon of regular across Wisconsin will average around $2.17 a gallon. So that's a cent cheaper than it was yesterday and more than 20 cents less than this time last year. According to GasBuddy.com, the Sicko at Northport and Troy Drive says the cheapest gas in Madison at $2.07 a gallon. There are a number of other gas stations around the city at around $2.09 this morning. That said, energy stocks continue to go down on Wall Street, and oil prices have lost 40% of their value in just 2 months.
All right, 'tis the season for holiday travel, and more people on the roads and in the airports means more people to pick at your pet peeves. There's a new survey out from GenFair that's talking about what you'll probably be annoyed by this travel season. It says the #1 pet peeve is having your seat kicked while on a plane, while a third of travelers say reclining those airplane seats should be banned. Just over 50% of people say loud phone talkers on public transit really gets to them, while about 40% say, get this, body odor is the worst.
I
Big
can
surprise.
imagine.
Right. But good news, 64% say go ahead, kick off those shoes on a plane, and even 20% are okay with you taking off your socks on the flight.
Okay, wait a second. So body odor, huge concern, but we're cool to take off the shoes and socks.
Girl, you do not want me taking off
No,
my shoes
that's what
anywhere
I'm
near you.
saying is I don't want any, I'm not going to do that to anyone. And
I would never put that through someone.
It's just, they seem to be contradictory, right?
Well, now that you're talking about it, this is going to happen to you on your flight home today.
Well, yeah, tomorrow morning, heading out from Milwaukee to Baltimore, and I'm sure the person in front of me will recline all the way right into my
or
space.
your fiance is going to take off his shoes and his socks and just
drooling, sleeping next to me.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. After that story, I think I need it.
All right, 6:41 your time now. There's some sun headed our way for the weekend, but first we have to make it through a cloudy, cooler Friday. Patty's updating our first alert forecast for you when we return.
But first, it is December 21st, and we finally have someone to wish a happy birthday to this week. Wyatt is turning 3 today, also known as Batman. Thank you, Batman, for celebrating with us here on News 3 this morning.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Today is the winter solstice, so winter officially begins today. Let's take a look at some sunrise and sunset information. It's the shortest day of the year. We have just 9 hours of daylight today. Now, days technically start to get a little longer after today, but barely noticeable for the first couple of weeks. In fact, in a week, here's a look at our sunrise. It's actually later than it is today, but we do start to gain some time at the end of the day. So we average about 1 minute extra of daylight each day, or each week, I should say, for the next couple of weeks. But by the time we go a month from now into late January, we've added about 30 minutes of daylight. And between now and the longest day of the year, which is June 21st, we'll add almost 6.5 hours of daylight. So again, adding it in short increments right now, but we'll start to ramp up as we head through late January into February. Let's take a look, though, at our radar map this morning. We have clouds in the area, but the precipitation has already moved out, so it's a dry forecast today for southern Wisconsin. Been talking a lot about snow cover or lack thereof, and with those mild temperatures this week, take a look at the snow depth across the area. That snow line really retreating to the north, and now just a couple of inches of snow on the ground in the Northwoods. No major snowstorms moving in this direction either. It'll stay dry today. Through the day on Saturday, there's a chance for a few flurries across the Badger State, but that's about it. Shouldn't impact travel at all. Sunday will be another good travel day with quiet conditions around here, maybe some lake effect snow across parts of Michigan. Still watching Monday with the potential for a little bit of snow moving across southern Wisconsin late Monday into Tuesday, probably just flurries at this point. The next storm system, though, moving in for the middle part of next week, brings the potential for rain and snow for southern Wisconsin. But if you're looking at snow chances between now and Christmas, not looking very impressive. Less than an inch additional snow between now and Tuesday. Here's a look, though, at our satellite and radar maps this morning. I mentioned skies are cloudy. All the precipitation has moved off to the south and east, but cloudy skies here will stick with us through at least the morning. Could see some clearing late in the day. Major storm system, though, impacting the southeast and eastern part of the country, getting a lot of rain to the area as well as some very strong winds. So as far as flight conditions today, you'll want to watch the East Coast if you're going in that direction. New York is already recording some pretty big delays between 1 and 2 hours at the major airports. Newark, LaGuardia, and JFK all reporting delays this morning. Elsewhere across the country, though, travel looking pretty good. If you are headed west, not bad. 62 in Denver today with some sunshine. Again, most of the precipitation will be along the eastern part of the United States. We have just clouds in the forecast today. Cooler temperatures, though. It'll start to feel a little bit more like December. Speaking of feeling like December, International Falls starting out at 10 degrees this morning. Just 25 in Minneapolis, 26 in Des Moines. Here in Madison with those clouds in place, we're at 31 degrees, 29 though in the Dells, and 32 in Mineral Point. Here's a look at your Pinpoint City forecast. We have high temperatures only in the low 30s today. A lot of clouds, but some clearing is possible late this afternoon, especially west of Madison. To the north, we're looking at high temperatures in the low 30s. Here's a look at your extended forecast. Staying pretty quiet with just a chance for a few flurries as we head through the Christmas holiday, and then that mix possible Wednesday into Thursday. Here's someone, though, Nugget, waiting for the call in Janesville.
Oh, forget
the look
Rudolph.
on Nugget's face is priceless.
Yeah, Nugget is ready.
Super cute. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
Stay with us. The Morning Sprint is up next on News 3 This Morning.
6:51, time now for the morning sprint. What started as a week near 50 degrees is ending up much closer to normal for the end of the week.
And Maddie O'Neill is talking about how a local food pantry will help make sure kids on winter break stay fed.
Many students missing out on school lunches over winter break starting next week won't have to worry. As part of the Munch program, the River Food Pantry's mobile food truck will head to 8 Northside neighborhoods, bringing children and teens lunches, including sandwiches, fruit snacks, and juice boxes. The Munch truck is out with about 400 prepared meals every day. There's no school, including weekends and weekdays during winter break, except for Christmas. The program's coordinator says beyond keeping children from going hungry, it helps them focus when they're back in school. The Munch truck is out in planned spots in 15-minute time slots. You can find exact information on our website, channel3000.com.
Thank you, Maddie. It'll cost less to fill up that mobile food van this morning. AAA shows a gallon of regular costs about $2.17 on average across the state. That's a cent cheaper than yesterday and more than 20 cents less than this time last year. The Citgo at Northport and Troy Drive says the cheapest gas in Madison around $2.07 a gallon. That said, energy stocks continue to fall on Wall Street, and oil prices have lost 40% of their value in just 2 months.
The president is on a Twitter tirade this morning saying he will shut down the government if Democrats don't vote on a spending plan with money for a border wall. Congress has until midnight to pass that plan ahead of a partial shutdown. The House approved a bill yesterday that includes more than $5 billion for that wall, though it's not expected to make it through the Senate. Agencies like the IRS, National Parks, and the State Department would be affected by that shutdown.
Stock futures are down another 100 points as we head toward the opening bell this morning. The Dow lost more than 400 points yesterday as investors worry about that government shutdown, as well as slowing economic growth and ongoing trade disputes. Earlier this week, the Federal Reserve raised interest rates for the 4th time this year, and all of that resulted in the Dow opening today below 23,000 for the first time in more than a year.
Defense Secretary James Mattis is resigning in response to President Trump's plan to pull the remaining 2,000 troops out of Syria. The former general will leave his position in February. Meanwhile, CBS News is reporting the Pentagon has ordered to withdraw about 7,000 troops from Afghanistan. That's half the U.S. troops still deployed there after the 9/11 attack in 2001. The timeline for those soldiers to return home isn't clear yet.
We have clouds in place this morning. Here's the view from the WISC-TV sky cam. Mostly cloudy skies across the area early today. It is a chilly start. Temperatures are in the low 30s and upper 20s, but wind chills are down around 20 degrees. We're not going to see much of a climb in those wind chill numbers today, staying in the low to mid 20s this afternoon.
Okay.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Hattie. A handful of companies face a wrongful death lawsuit this morning, months after a firefighter died in the Sun Prairie explosion over the summer. Captain Corey Barr's widow and 2 firefighters who were hurt in that incident are all suing for damages, saying that the company's negligence directly resulted in their injuries and Barr's death. We have a breakdown of those allegations and what companies are involved over on channel3000.com. The police chief in Sun Prairie is not recommending any criminal charges.
The Madison man spending the rest of his life behind bars for killing his wife and blowing up their house might be back in court this afternoon. Stephen Pyrus admitted he shot his wife, Leanne, then blew up their house to cover up the crime. Several neighbors want to be reimbursed for the damage that blast caused to their homes. A restitution hearing to determine how much Pyrus should have to pay is scheduled for 1:30 this afternoon.
2 people are recovering this morning after a serious crash on the Beltline during the afternoon rush hour. You're seeing DOT camera video of that. Police say a semi cut off a car near Park Street. That vehicle spun into another one, which rolled onto its roof in the westbound lanes of the Beltline. Police say the injuries were minor, but the westbound lanes were shut down for about 45 minutes.
The State Department of Transportation is proposing a plan to open the shoulders of the Beltline during peak travel hours to help alleviate some of the congestion. The practice of hard shoulder running happens in 17 other states already. The DOT says it could reduce travel times by up to 40%. The DOT plans to get public input on that idea in the new year.
Governor-elect Tony Evers is expected to announce more members of his cabinet this afternoon, in Madison. This comes after Evers was criticized for the lack of geographic diversity for his appointments earlier in the week. Those first 4 appointments were all from the Milwaukee area.
Meanwhile, Republican lawmakers are talking priorities for next year. Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald says he's open to accepting federal Medicaid expansion money or cutting income taxes. Those are both things Governor-elect Tony Evers promised to do on the campaign trail. Fitzgerald also said he does not support legalizing marijuana for medical use, something Evers says he would support.
In downtown Madison, East Doty Street will be down to one lane between MLK Boulevard and South Pinckney Street from about 8 o'clock this morning to 3 this afternoon. Crews will be pouring concrete at the Judge Doyle Square project during that time, and the extra space is needed for that. A similar concrete pour is also scheduled for next Friday.
Speaking of traffic, let's turn it over to Jason Stone with a final look at your morning commute. Hey there, Jason.
Hey, traffic flow continues to be smooth this morning on the Beltline. No major incidents or delays. All is good on John Nolan Drive. There's just a slight buildup near the North Shore intersection and the construction that has shut down South Pinckney Street through the afternoon. With your First Alert traffic, I'm Jason Stone.
Thank you, Jason.
And a look at those drive times across the area. Still looking pretty good heading into Madison this morning. You don't need the sunglasses today. Cloudy skies in the area this morning. Here's a look at your forecast through the day. We're looking at temperatures only moving a couple of degrees today. Some clearing is possible late today as we head into tonight. Generally, though, pretty quiet as we head into the upcoming weekend ahead of the holiday. Just a few flurries possible.
And that is certainly good for the travel forecast as well.
It is.
All right. Have a safe and happy holiday and a great weekend. We will see you back here on Monday.